Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to watch my video. And today I want to talk about kind of the pre-spawn. It's 76 degrees here today. It's February 3rd here February 3rd, and it's 76 degrees here in Northwest Arkansas, and it feels nice out. Makes me want to go throw a top water, but of course the water temperature is still in the low to mid 40s in this area and on most places. Some of the more shallower lakes is 39, but for the most part they're in the low 40s to the mid 40s. But anyways, this warm weather's got me thinking about the pre-spawn and the bass's movement. Is one of the most important things that you can think about whenever you're deciding where you're going to fish when you go out. You got to think about where they're at in their movements, whether it be wintertime movements, springtime movements, summertime movements, fall movements. The weather and the bass's movements is the first two things I consider when I'm getting ready to go fishing, or when I'm considering what baits I'm going to tie on. But it's getting ready to be the pre-spawn. It's February. We're gonna start having some warmer days, just like today. It's been in the 60s the last 2 or 3 days. So those fish are gonna start thinking about moving toward their spawning areas. The water temperature is not going to warm up a whole lot, but I imagine it's warmed up a little bit because last night's low was 59. So that's going to help. In very many nights like that, it's going to start warming that water up, and those fish are going to start being on the move. I want to talk about where to look when those fish start moving to their pre-spawn staging areas. I want to look for the last deep water in a pocket or a cove right before you get to the spawning flats. That's where you want to go. You want to go to the last deep water that may be on a point where the creek channel butts up against it, and be kind of a channel swing bank. May just be a bank, maybe a big rock bank, maybe a bank that has a lot of brush on it. You get just whatever cover that you can find, where it's big rocks, chunk rocks, rock piles, brush piles, standing timber, whatever it is. The last deep water before the spawning areas is where you want to focus on catching those big pre-spawn bass. You could be on a bluff end going into the spawning flat, and that bluff end will be a great spot because it'll be a transition area. Plus the fish will have deep water, so they can go up and down in the water column easy. Secondary points back in the cove, of course, you know, the main lake points is just what it sounds like. They're on the main lake. So your secondary points is all your points going back into a creek or a big cove. Will have secondary points, when you have little coves or even just small indentations in the bank there. That's going to create a point. Those are all going to be secondary points. But you want to go to the last deep water right before the spawning pockets. When you get to those areas, find your cover. Just like I said, rock piles, chunk rock, boulders, trees, brush piles. Find those. And one of the main things I like to fish during this time of year is a jig. I get out the big jig, 1/2 ounce usually, and I go ahead and I put on my Z-Man Z-Craw because the water is starting to warm up. The pre-spawn, I usually wait for the first, before I say it's actually the pre-spawn, I usually wait for the first like 5 or 6 degree jump in water temperature. You know, like it's 42 to 44 in most lakes right now. As soon as that water temperature hits 48 to up close to 50, you know, 48, 49, 50 degrees, I know them fish are going to be on the move. So I go back there to the last deep water and I start fishing. I'll throw that jig and I'll work it just real slow through the rocks, through the brush, swim a swim jig around standing timber. Throw a spinnerbait, a big spinnerbait, 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce spinnerbait, with a willow leaf blade. Slow roll that through the timber, right over the top of those brush piles, right over the top of those big rocks, those boulders. Let that spinnerbait get down there and tap those tree limbs, tap the top of them rocks, just anything to make a little more commotion. If the rock piles and brush piles is within 15 feet, first 15 feet, I throw a rock crawler and I'll bounce that rock crawler off them rocks. Once you kind of figure out the depth of the fish, then I start paralleling the bank. I'll throw a parallel with the bank and work my baits at that depth, all the way back to the boat. Make a real long cast, especially with crankbaits, because the crankbaits, when they go down, they'll dive at an angle, and you want your crankbait at the depth, at the premium depth, as long as possible. So you want to make a real long cast with that crankbait and bring that crankbait parallel at the depth that you find that most of your bites is coming from. Jerkbait also will work good. Lipless crankbaits will work good. And then, of course, if you want to go finesse, get out the old Ned head or shaky head, or my favorite, the tube, and work those areas. If I go back there to that last deep water before the spawning pocket and I don't find the fish, I'll go up a little ways in the pocket. If there's another point, stop at the next secondary point back toward the main lake and start fishing at that location. If you find channel swing, or just a big brush pile with some deep water around it, just anything, so you can look for those fish to stage on. Those fish is going to be going back into that creek, into that pocket, and they're going to stop at different staging areas like big rock piles, brush piles, standing timber, drop offs on points, you know, ledges. You know, they're going to set on those until they feel like the water temperature is right, or their movement tells them to go farther back in. But you want to fish, you don't want to go all the way back out to the main lake point to start fishing back in. I always want to run back toward the main lake just a little ways and start fishing back toward where I started. And if I still don't catch them, then I'll work my way back a little bit farther. You know, you may get to the main lake point and find that's still where the fish is at. But once that water hits 48, 49, 50 degrees, they're going to start moving at any time. So you want to be ready for them to move. You just got to keep up with their movements. Once you figure out that they've started to move. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the pre-spawn. It's not quite here yet. I'll probably do another video on the pre-spawn pretty soon. But with it being 76 degrees out today, it's got me thinking about it, getting excited. Right now is the time to go catch the biggest bass of the year, because they're going to be full of eggs and they're going to be fat, and it's about time for them to start their spring feed and getting fattened up. So anyway, just think about throwing that jig and spinner bait and swim jig, crankbaits, you know, shad traps, rock crawlers, DT6, DT8, DT10s, any of those. Be ready to throw those, because it's almost that time. But anyway, if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. And please do me a big favor and hit like, share, and subscribe below this video. And have a blessed week, and I will see you guys out on the water.